Morning, friends. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you had a nice weekend. I hope that you celebrated your moms yesterday or any special ladies in your lives that play an important role in your life, okay? If not, do it today. It's never too late to tell them that you love them. This weekend was pretty wild with the snow, right? I'm not sure if you saw that too. But today's Monday. We'll do that in 1 second. Today is Monday, May 11th, 2020. But this week, your inquiry focus, your naturalist focus, and your resident writing focus is all going to be about trees. But I think it's important to talk about what we did last week, right? So last week we talked about birds. So this book is a book about birds and trees, and we're going to see how those things connect. Okay. So the words that we're going to need. Most nonfiction books, right? Books that give you information have a glossary. And what's interesting about this book is they already made a picture glossary. And so I'm going to use it. This is normally at the end of a book, but we're going to use it right out of the gate. Okay. So take a notice here. We have a bill, the horny, hard part of a bird's mouth. Okay. So here we go. So it kind of looks like a horn, right? What's interesting is we've called this a bill, a beak, and so you keep adding different vocabulary words. Caterpillar, a larva that changes into a butterfly or a moth. So we kind of know this one already, right? From the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar that everyone's almost always read or heard. A fig, a small sweet fruit with tiny seeds. So here's a fig. Okay. Sometimes they're like a little pinkish too, and they tend to be sweet, right? And then sometimes they make this into like a jam or a jelly. Grub, a young form of some bugs that look like a short white worm. So this part is a grub, okay? Hollow, having an empty space, so like a hole in a tree, right? And a nest, a place built by birds to lay their eggs. All right, so a lot of words that you already know. Like you definitely know the word bill, you definitely know the word caterpillar, you definitely know the word nest. Hollow, grub, and fig might be new. Okay, so new learning, which is exciting, right? So birds and trees. So we're making our connection to last week's lessons on birds, and this week all about trees. Okay, so let's see how we do. Birds all around the world need trees. A pied cormorant lives in Australia. They build their nest in trees. So notice that a bird needs a tree to survive, right? So notice how this nest is set up. Okay. So this book is all about how birds use trees, right? And why they're important. The red-headed weaver lives in Africa. It builds a nest in trees too. It weaves grass and twigs into a covered nest. So this bird puts its nest in a tree. Okay? So notice again how a bird and a tree, their lives intertwine. The cockatoo lives in Australia. It rests in a hollow tree for shade from the hot sun. So another way a bird can use a tree is protecting itself on a hot day. Okay. Grub, right? Remember this little a baby, well, what they consider a baby insect, right? Birds need trees for food. Eastern bluebirds live in North America. They eat grubs and insects they find in trees. Oh, so a bird helps a tree out by eating the insects that he finds on them. Wow. The woodpecker lives in North America. It pecks trees with its bills to find insects to eat. Well, that's good. So this woodpecker pecks with his bill, right, into the tree to find to find the insects. Figs, seed. Birds help trees too. The pale white eye lives in Africa. It eats figs. It eats fig seeds. New fig trees grow where the seed drops. Oh, so as it's eating the fig, the seeds drop to the ground and a new fig tree grows. Caterpillar. Some bugs harm trees. They eat the leaves. Birds eat caterpillars that can harm trees. Oh, interesting. So this caterpillar is eating the leaves and it is harming the trees. That's interesting. And so the bird helps the tree by eating the caterpillars. So here's one learning that I have already. I know that insects, for the most part, harm trees, and birds help the trees by getting rid of those insects, by eating those insects. Okay? Birds and trees need each other. What would happen to trees if there were no birds? What would happen to birds if there were no trees? That's a really interesting question. What do you think would happen to trees if there were no birds? So we talked a little bit about how insects go onto the trees and damage the trees. So without the birds, the trees would be damaged. What would happen to birds if there were no trees? Interesting, interesting. Okay, so what would happen? So if there were no trees, birds couldn't make places to what? Places to live, right? So here we go. Now for our writing part. But now that we've finished birds and trees, so here's a writing part, okay? So I'm looking at this. It's just the same setup as we've had for a while, right? It's a picture, and that's going to help you with your writing, all right? So here's my question. How does, let me make that nice and bold. How does the bird use the tree, okay? So looking at this picture, right, let's make it a little bit bigger so you could see it. How does this bird use the tree? Okay, think about it. So what is this bird doing? Here's a fig, here's a tree, and he's eating the fig. So how does the bird use that tree? For what purposes, right? And so here's a cockatoo, right? Thinking about how does this bird use this tree? Okay, so let's think about that. And then this bird, how does this bird use this tree? Okay, so these are some words that you might need. Nest, right? Hollow, seeds, and figs, right? I'm using the pictures right from the book. And so thinking about this one, right? So let's write this one together. All right, let's think about it. How does this bird use a tree? So this bird, let's do one together. This bird uses or eats the fruit, eats the fig from the tree. Okay, super simple. You're just telling me what this picture, right? That's an idea of how you can do it. Okay, this is an example. How else would you do it, right? So how else does this bird help this tree, or how does this bird use this tree, right? And how does this bird use this tree? All right. So just a super brief sentence. Maybe you could try to write two. All right. I hope this video finds you well. Make sure that you're keeping your distance, and I will be talking to you soon. Bye.